We're heading to Nashville, Tennessee, the heart of songwriting, to visit Vinyl Archaeology Studios and speak with founder Tom Vrem and his colleague Zach Seabolt. Tom has been playing guitar since age 5, he was in an all-originals band at age 15, and he produced his first record at age 18. He's gone on to graduate from Blackbird Academy, and he has performed with and produced records for some of the top names in the music business. Zach is also an accomplished singer-songwriter, and he's a graduate of SAE Institute in Atlanta.
Vinyl Archaeology rocks!
Let's let them answer some questions about the craft of songwriting.
I felt, I started playing guitar at 5, and I think I wrote my first song about 6, and so it's always been like an out for me. I joke a lot that it's probably the only reason I'm not in jail, but anytime I've had a hardship, it's definitely been the number one therapy, the number one getaway, the number one facilitator of making me feel better about the whole process. And there's songs I've written purely for myself, and then songs I've written for other people because of trials and tribulations they were going through. So it's more of a therapeutic thing than anything for me. But it was always a heaven sent that I was able to get it out instead of holding it in. And the guitar and music helped that.
Yeah, the emotions have to go somewhere, right?
Yeah,
and
they're going somewhere.
A really good outlet.
So what's the trick to songwriting?
Being open and not judging yourself too much.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna suck at the beginning. Like, you're gonna write some terrible songs, but if you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and tune your ear at the same time,
Yeah, and I have, like we've said it a few times today with some of the different artists, but letting a song evolve, I think that's one of the things. Even once it's recorded, you can still try it a different way. Try it on mandolin, try it slowed down. Like, there's never a finish line to a song, It can have totally different connotations. You can switch keys, modulate it.
And each of those little changes can inspire little things that end up in the final product.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So how would you guys describe the process of songwriting for each of you? Like, how does it work when you write a song?
It varies so much. Like, it can be a drum loop that inspires me and then I write something to it, or just like something I play on guitar, or I'm driving down the road and get a melody and voice record it and just write a full song to it and then put music later. It's any way you're inspired, as long as you get that first spark of inspiration and run with it.
Mm-hmm. I like first thoughts on ideas. And, I don't have one single recipe. The most recent song that I wrote, I had the melody first, which it's been a while since the melody came first. So I literally had to write the chords around the melody. Normally I'll find the chords and then a rhythm and then come up with a melody, but this one, just the melody popped out first. And the lyrics kind of did too. And sometimes the lyrics happen, really fast, and other times it's a little bit of a fight. I always appreciate it more when it's really fast, but some of the best things I feel like I've written are that I took my time with, so it's kind of a give and take, whichever way it goes.
Yeah.
I don't think there's
it
right
could go either way
answer
for me, because there are some of the best songs I feel like I've written that have been written in 15 minutes, and it just
falls out.
Feels like it comes from somewhere else. But then there are those other ones where you still have that kind of inspiration, but you take some time to develop it and be more musical.
Yeah, it depends. Lots of times with lyrics, I like to paint the picture and take people there, but at the same time I like there to be riddles. And sometimes I make it hard for myself because I want the riddles to be there. I want someone to listen to it and hear it from a bunch of different perspectives, and primarily their own, So I sometimes, I like to be vague enough that you can fill in the blanks, but yet, astute enough that, I get my point across, whether they know it or not.
Yeah, and that helps people kind of take what they will from it too, because it can mean something to you and totally different interpretation from somebody else.
What are the biggest barriers for writing songs for each of you?
It can be lyrics sometimes, and production. Lyrics and production, I would say. Melody comes pretty natural, and then the chord progressions around that, it makes sense.
I think with my own stuff in the last few years that I've been scared of overproduction. Like I like the more raw, it all started with guitar for me, so once the guitar gets lost in the mix, I'm not as happy with it. So usually the things that I'm aiming for right now are, I want to know like what guitar I'm playing. Like, am I playing a jumbo? Am I playing a vintage guitar? Am I playing a brand new guitar? How fresh are the strings? Things that no one's probably thinking about other than me.
But it kind of changes your vibe of how you approach it. It changes
the whole vibe, yeah. And I'm just, right now, I like things really raw and natural. Even to where the point where some of the last few things that Zach and I have done in Blackbird, we used real plates and real natural reverb when we had access to the best reverbs and, digital effects in the world. But I just appreciate the rawness, and kind of old school technique is something I'm into now. The way that Sam Phillips recorded at Sun Studio, and a lot of the recording techniques of Sam Phillips on through the Beatles and even into some of the 70s tricks. Pink Floyd is one of my favorites to still listen to. I never get bored of Floyd.
Any kind of closing tips for songwriters or suggestions on how to develop the craft or get interested in it more?
Don't judge yourself, and just keep honing your ear, listening to a ton of music, and writing songs, no matter what.
Yeah, look at it as like you're drinking out of an ocean. Like it's an endless supply. You don't have an end or beginning to it. It's endless. I don't think you ever get to a point where you feel like you master it. I think it's one of those things where it's part of you, so you can just keep on jumping into it, and it keeps on showing you something else you didn't see.
That's one of my favorite things about playing guitar.
Yeah,
is you can just learn new little things every time.
It's an endless
pick it up.
Endless pit. If I get bored of doing jazz and blues, I can go rock and roll, and then I can go bluegrass. There's so many variations that are all, awesome styles, and that have been, to the point where they have been perfected by a few, so it's, I'll never get to their perfection, but I like to try. Keep on trying.
Keep on trying.
Who did you have a crush on when you were a teenager? I thought this was going to be an easy question.
A lot of girls, man.
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone that significant that I'm like...
Daisy Duke was easily a first amusement of mine. Yeah.
That's great.
It was her shorts.
Okay. So, speaking of Daisy Duke, let's talk about the craft of songwriting.
Perfect.